tuning in to Written on the Edge, Season 8, Episode 1. Happy New Year, happy 2023. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing Dr. J.J. Kelly's novels and taking a look at emotional intelligence as a facilitator for joy, which I think is a perfect way to welcome in the new year.
Yeah.
We'll then be beginning our reviews of the show Sense8, concluding with the film, with guest reviewer Albert Nothlet coming in to join us. And so we've broken this episode into chapters so you can jump to your favorite part if you're busy. But now, on to our interview. After 16 years of passionately working in the current system of the mental health profession and seeing the systemic sexism, racism, homophobia, ableism, narcissism, and elitism, Dr. J.J. Kelly wanted nothing more than to burn it all down. Instead, she decided to redirect her outrage into building something new based on love, laughter, and teaching emotional intelligence. Because she believes that global healing is achieved by people teaching the skills by teaching people the skills to like themselves, or as she always says, happy people act right. Dr. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I want you to do all my intros all the time.
I am available for hire.
Yeah. And then read me a book before I go to sleep, okay?
Right, exactly. There you go.
There's a catalog of those, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, I'm in.
But let's talk about you. So, you left the healthcare system and got the urge to write?
Write, start my own company, do my own thing.
And I love your company name, by the way.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell people about it quickly before we jump into the works?
Sure. UnorthoDocs, DOCS Inc. Is basically a punk alternative to traditional psychotherapy. I've been teaching DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, since like 2004. And so that's teaching the emotional intelligence skills. And I like to teach that because then it's like, teach the person to fish, you know? They can learn the skills, they can go away. They don't have to pay me thousands of dollars a month for like 10 years.
Right.
You know, right. Like that dependency is something that grosses me out in the field as well. I think that's weirdly like patriarchal and yuck. So I don't, you know, I've been working with mostly young people. I do executive coaching as well. Never thought I would go back to corporate in any way, shape, or form. But, you know, as far as reach and families and, you know, companies are a lot of times the problem. So,
you think?
You know, getting in there and teaching some emotional intelligence, I figured could make an impact too. But, you know, I got 20-year-olds, people in their 20s, people in their 30s that are more emotionally intelligent than, you know, doctoral interns that I supervise and colleagues that are in their 70s, you know, because they do the work to make their lives better. They don't just talk about it or like lord it over other people so they can appear smart. They're doing it for real.
Let's break some of this down. What is emotional intelligence, especially for folks who are just hearing the term for the first time or have never had it explained to them?
Well, I think that emotional intelligence means that you behave in alignment with your values, even when you're intensely emotionally activated. I also think that's how you build confidence and self-esteem.
Nice. All right. So let's talk about your Holy Shit series.
Which I have to say I love because Kathleen Madigan, who's a great comedian, she has the segment in her podcast called "Holy Shit, They Found It."
Oh man, I gotta.
Which I love.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta go look her up on YouTube. It's hysterical. She's funny. Every week she does this and she has that segment. Holy shit, they found it. So definitely should check it out. It's right in line with what you're talking about.
Right on. I love her too. She's hilarious, and she's a Midwesterner too. I think we're
Missouri. Yep. Missouri born.
We're crazy funny. I don't know if it's like the cold or what, but it definitely stands out being in California because people can't laugh at themselves here. In general, it's a generalization, but there's a lot more fragility with the intellect, I think, which I was not expecting when I moved out here. But I do find that, you know, the intellect and IQ doesn't necessarily mean emotional intelligence. That's worth saying. Because
EQ and IQ are different. Yeah.
Very different. And Geniuses aren't necessarily emotionally intelligent. Oftentimes, they have an undiagnosed anxiety disorder, and they just go around blaming everybody else in a really articulate way. I was going to have shirts made years ago when I was still pissed off and working in Berkeley. I was going to have shirts that made up that said, Berkeley, where you're always the asshole.
Ooh.
It's like they give unsolicited advice and then they're shocked and pearl grasping when you don't thank them for it. That's not
hilarious.
smart. Everybody intellectually knows that nobody likes unsolicited advice. Yet, how many people actually don't do it because they know that? They think it's okay for them to do. They just don't like it. Like, what the hell is that? That's not alignment. That's not emotional intelligence. Projecting all of your fears in the form of criticism, that is not emotionally intelligent. That's dickish, actually.
Right.
So, what do you want to know about the books?
So, one, I appreciate that you have approached some pretty serious topics with a sense of humor, which is right in line with what you told us about what you do.
Thanks. I appreciate that you notice that because it's important to me.
100%. I mean, that's what makes it accessible.
Agreed. Helps the medicine go down. Ha, 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 ha. Go, go, go.
Nice. But you have turned something that people either don't want to get caught reading or something that people don't want to admit they should probably read into something that they can hold in their hands and read.
Ooh, well said. Especially because the next one that is in editing right now is prevention of and treatment of incels. But you can't title the book, Holy Shit, Am I Ever Gonna Get Laid? Like, that's not flying off the shelf. So I try, and I do this with all my books. Like, I take a thing that either pisses me off or like distresses me in some way. And then I was originally taught to do it to someone, like make up a character that you love and then write it to them. But I try to do it like an actual person that I love and write it to them. And that was so helpful with this one because I get super pissed off at all the things that I want to say lovingly. Again, it doesn't help someone to be like, hey, dumbass. Like that's what is wrong with our country, right? Everybody thinks every other person's stupid. Right. And then there's no empathy and no active listening. So I think it's going to be like, holy shit, what do women want? A gentleman's guide to to creating love and partnership. And then telling them how to act right.
All right, well, let's back up.
And unfortunately, I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, let's back up to the ones that are in print.
Yeah, okay. But the point is that the funny helps the medicine go down. The cutting one, 100%. This one.
Your first one, right?
Yes, which is funny because it wasn't originally going to be my first one, but I historically have not also met with parents. Okay. And parents oftentimes don't like that. They think that they're paying me to narc on their kids, which I won't do because then they're not going to tell me anything. So I put everything that I know that I've heard from kids into a parenting manual. So this is really a parenting manual, whether there's self-harm or not, which, you know what? There probably is, or there's going to be, unfortunately, in some way, shape, or form. So you might as well get ahead of it. The thing I like so much in this, well, two things. One is that there's a contract thing in here, how to make a contract of privileges, expectations, consequences. Right out in the open, make it into a document, put it on the fridge. Because that the kid, the teen in particular, is going to be like, you never said that. And it's like, oh, look at addendum E, section. I absolutely did say this, and you signed it as well. So that I like. And also, my favorite paragraph is don't be an effing narcissist. Like this buddying up.
Enough about me. What do you think of me?
And this I'm my kid's friend bullshit, where they're actually too scared to be the bad guy, which they signed up for when they had kids. That's super narcy, and it's not effective. It hurts kids. So I absolutely
Yeah.
go after that thing too.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the title of your second one was what initially caught me because why? I sometimes feel like a misfit too.
Yeah. And you notice I had to fight for the quotes. It's amazing what you fight for in editing.
You had to fight for
Even the
those
holy
quotes?
shit thing. Yeah, because I think the quotes are significant because it's people calling us misfits. We don't actually think of ourselves as that. We don't fit
Right.
into a fucked up society. That doesn't make me a misfit. That makes
True.
me
Right.
wonderful and full of love and intelligence and free.
Right.
Somebody says that to me to try to get me to behave how they want me to behave. So, So this one is actually this is the 8-week emotional intelligence course based on DBT. So that's in a nutshell. So this people can they can read alongside my courses, or they can just read or listen to because they're funny because I'm reading them, and my producer leaves in all the laughing or when I'm like, oh my God, who says that in a book? I'm often reading the books for the first time in months. I take a break from them because they've been such a labor of love. And then all of a sudden I'm reading the audiobook and I'm laughing at what I wrote. Because you know how it is. It's just this dump of information. And, you do a rough draft, turn it in, and you don't even know what you wrote. And then I'm reading, I'm like, oh, that is so sweet. Oh, good one. That's great.
And your third one then touches on narcissism.
Are we back?
Let's be back.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, the third one does touch on narcissism.
See, why isn't that titled I'm Dealing with an Asshole?
Yes, because my whole thing is how people use, I wrote this was going to be the first one.
Okay.
So I wrote it because people think that the word narcissism is just a synonym for asshole, when actually there are all kinds of layers to it, and people that have it suffer too. There's zero empathy out there for the fact that it's actually a disorder. When people think of it as that person's just an asshole, they're not thinking of it as a set of behaviors that's meant to shield them from historic shame.
Yep.
So once again, that perspective of writing from a place of loving the person I'm writing to, actually, I think it helps the medicine go down, one. And two, it helps me. I couldn't believe how much writing the narcissism book increased my empathy for narcissism, which I did not think was possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, it's so funny. Oh my gosh. I break it up into little snapshots of the kinds of narcissism, and they have funny names because that's how my brain works. But one of them is passive aggressive Midwestern grandma. That have stuffed anger for 4 decades or something, and then they say something with a smile, and it's so biting. It just slays you, and you're like, wait, what the fuck did she just say?
Right.
So I just have a lot of different, just to give people a funny snapshot, but the shit is real. And the ways it comes out is quite nuanced. And so at the end, I'm like, okay, this is what they're saying to you, and this is what you're currently saying, and this is why it doesn't work. So say this instead. And going through an actual script of a more effective way to deal with their bullshit.
Does it help them as well when you approach that script? Does it help the person with the narcissism?
I don't know that it does. That's such a great question. I think that it helps in a way that's unconscious to them, in that I'm stopping them from behaving in a way that's going to cause more shame.
Fair.
So there's containment in that, right? I just simply won't allow it. I'll put the boundaries up, and I'm not going to allow you to lie some more.
Gotcha.
So I do think that is highly beneficial. It's just probably not registered consciously with the person that behaves in a narcissistic way.
Gotcha. All right. So at the start of this talk, you had mentioned that especially the youth are really good at putting in the work on emotional
The
intelligence.
ones that I work with, yes, they have no choice. I almost try to talk them out of it in the like interview process for whether you get to take the course or not, because it really requires activity. You can't show up and not have the like exercises written out and finished. Like that only happens once. They only try to pull that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason it works is because you're engaged in it. We're not talking about it. It's not an academic process.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're just talking about it and you're like aware now. Yes, awareness, mindfulness is a part of it. And then enacting the new behaviors is what actually changes your life.
So what does putting in the work look like then? I mean, obviously you said showing up with their answers written out, but...
That they have practiced all week based on week one's lessons. And then it builds on itself each week. And then as I get to learn who they are through listening, then I can tweak the skills to them specifically, because there are individual differences, right? We are all different and we're the same. Dialectics, the Venn diagram, it's an and, not an or.
Nice. So not to take work away from your office, but what would a week one questionnaire look like? Like what would someone have to start thinking about themselves to put in the work to come work with you?
Yeah, week one is the mindfulness module. There are 4 modules. Mindfulness comes first for obvious reasons. Open your eyes, get your head out of your ass, start noticing things so that we can change behaviors. And a huge part of that is 2 things. Naming emotions, which is validation, and the core of DBT, validation. Just putting words to your emotions. That sounds so basic, and it is conceptually. Excuse me, but people don't do it. They also...
Do you think that's because of personal apathy, or do you think it's because they're just too afraid of what they'll see?
I think nobody taught them, man.
Fair enough.
I think it's as simple as, where the hell did we learn emotional intelligence? Because I was busy doing bullshit algebra 2 instead of learning how to manage my emotions. You know, like, why isn't this taught in schools?
You know, oddly enough, from a gay man's perspective, and especially a gay man who went to school in the 70s through the early 80s, I think it's interesting because you pose that question, and yet one experience I had was we had a gay straight alliance group way back in the 70s when that really wasn't a thing. And one of the things we focused on was dealing with emotions as teens, which I think only added to my arsenal of how to deal with life. And you're right. I think it's something that should be taught. There are things I think in school, you got the basic reading, writing, arithmetic, all that stuff. But there should be an element of wellness that's taught to kids.
Think? That science,
especially in the teen years.
Agreed. That my whole dissertation in 2006 was how we should treat the teen years, adolescence, as a developmental phase that resembles borderline personality disorder.
Because chemically, that's what's going on.
Totally. And if we taught DBT at that age, we would get ahead of the meds. We would get ahead of the diagnoses. We would have healthier, more emotionally intelligent people.
Is that what you meant when you told me it was a facilitator for creating joy?
Ooh, that one's a whole different thing and the same. Yes, and there's more. I think that creativity is, well, everything, but creativity is the vehicle for joy, and joy is the fuel for creativity. So they go together, and I think that both productivity and achievement and creativity are approached in a way that's like, yeah, like you get yourself going, you suck it up, you hustle. Like there's something so, sorry, but it's patriarchal to do it that way, to get people working for the system and instead of using the fuel that is infinite. So you can do that and you can make major achievements, you can make big time money, you can make, wonderful paintings, that kind of thing. But I think from what I've seen, I think that eventually that's a finite thing. You're going to get depressed at some point, you're going to bottom out. You're going to start having panic attacks or something's going to break down in your
Something has to give, right?
Yes. And because you can't not do emotions. Like they come out sideways then and they like fuck up your life. If you're just filling it up and trying to keep a lid on all that instead of processing it out in a free flowing way. So,
right, which is what leads to toxic masculinity. It leads to men dying of alcoholism and drug abuse because of the way society has put this pressure on men to be that removed from their own emotional core.
Totally.
Which is, I think it's also another reason why straight men and gay men have this weird dichotomy of trying to find a way to work within their own sex. But I think the straight men, because of their emotional stuntedness, for lack of a better word, in not being able to access their true feelings, it precludes them from engaging with the queer community because of societal norm. You know what I mean? It kind of fits with everything you're saying.
Totally. Like people in a first pass will often be like, some people will be like, oh, what's this man-hating shit, doctor? I'm like, I love men. The patriarchy hurts men too. What are you?
Yeah, it does. Almost more so. Almost more so.
Like that is. Don't put me in some sort of reductionist book. Like that's not even. And did you notice that in the second book, by the way? First of all, folks spelt with an X, and this entire book is written in they, and not one person noticed. So, hello, pronouns are easy.
Yeah, exactly. We've been using it all along, people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not one person has noticed. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, because that's important. Boy.
Mm-hmm. No, it is.
There's
it
so
absolutely
many things
is.
that straight people could learn from the queer community. Dude, very early in my career, I noticed, there's a big BDSM community in SF. And so, like, I had tons of, I said patience then. I don't say patience anymore. The communication that is necessary in a BDSM situation is the kind of communication that everyone needs to be having with sex. It is consent.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone spoke
Absolutely.
about their sex lives to that, like they'd die if they didn't, or they'd get harmed if they didn't, which they do get harmed because they don't talk about it. It might not be like, I don't know, they pass out or something, but it will be some sort of internal emotional stuffing, some unfulfilled need, some accidental hurt that then just gets stuffed. Oh my gosh. I could go on and on about that.
To find out more, check out her books.
Well, yeah, 100% check out her books. But I was going to say, let's round out this conversation by giving listeners and viewers a few tools for moving into 2023. How would you?
That's great, because it kind of circles back to that first week thing. Mm-hmm. Naming emotions, validation. And that means getting a list. I actually have a list on my website that you can print out and put on the fridge. Emotion words, anger words, joy words, all of them, and get disciplined about naming your emotions. What am I feeling right now? That is mindfulness. Everybody's like, oh, mindfulness. What is it? Just let it go. Well, if I knew how to let it go, I'd already do that. What the hell does let it go mean? This is the beginning of that. You name the emotion instead of staying with all the thoughts that the emotion generated, because those aren't factual. We treat all our thoughts as fact, even when we're emotionally activated. Like, what? That makes zero sense, emotional intelligence wise. So going with the validation, naming of emotions is this thing that shrinks did that they're totally to blame. People going around going, I feel like I'm not being listened to. Not a feeling. That's a thought. Please, when you're talking about your thoughts, say I think, not I feel. Because I feel like you're an asshole is not a feeling. It's a thought and it's a judgment.
Yes.
You're not taking any responsibility for your emotion. If you were to, I feel like you're attacking me, JJ. I'm like, what? First of all, not a feeling. Attacked is not a feeling. Secondly, what did you hire me for? To tell you that everything you're doing, all the behaviors you're engaging in are bar of gold, keep doing it? No.
Right.
Absolutely not. If you don't have the ego strength and the resilience yet to not get defensive when I do my job, that's our work together. Okay. However, you want to state it like an opinion and an emotion. I get kind of scared and defensive when you say things like that challenge me. No argument. Easy to validate your feelings. No problem. I understand that. Of course. Look at me. Look at my approach. Of course. I'm so in your face. It's going to scare you. No problem with that. Just don't tell me I'm attacking you unless you ask me and I say, yes, I am indeed attacking you.
Right.
You don't guess like that on what my intentions are. That's some bullshit that everybody does. So separating out, I think, I feel, if like or that are the words that follow the word feel, it's a thought, not a feeling. I feel like, I feel that. And if you cross out feel and put in think to that sentence and it still works, that's a thought, my friend, not a feeling. So right. The discipline to do those things seriously would change relationships. It would change emotional intelligence. It would raise everybody's because they'd be taking more responsibility for their own emotional experience and learning how to internally validate so they're not trying to get their validation from external sources, which basically makes your environment's bitch. No matter where you go, if you have to get it from someone or something else, you're never full. We have to learn how to internally validate, and it can start with something as simple as naming your emotions. That alone.
There you go, people. Yep.
That totally makes me happy.
Me too. It's so easy. It's so easy. So just do it. Stop thinking about doing
And I love the fact that you put that clarification of think and feel. Because I think a lot of people are apathetic in that way, in that they don't want to do the work. They want to be lazy about it. It's very easy for us to slap a label on something and just say that's what it is, when really no thought process has gone into that decision. And it's like for me, when I write my novels, I am consumed about perceptions because perceptions play a huge factor in how we emotionally feel of things. We constantly use them all the time, and people don't give them their due. That your perception could be absolutely wrong, and you're making judgments and emotions based on those things, those false assumptions.
You're behaving according to a misperceived assumption.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And if you don't mind, I would like to eliminate the word lazy from the American vocabulary. Because what does lazy mean? In DBT, it's willfulness. There's a stagnation. There's a paralysis, like something stops, right? And when we say lazy all the time, it's about lack of productivity, but it doesn't go to why. what's actually going on with this person. And in my opinion, what's going on with them is either fear, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, so I won't. Or anger, some form of anger, fuck you, I'm not doing that. So if we look at it through that lens, we get to the why, and then we can help that person move out of the stagnation that's being called lazy, because lazy creates judgment and more shame, which actually gets the person more entrenched in the paralysis of what's going on for that. It's not you, Baz. Like, it's not about you saying it. Everybody says it, and it's such a lazy and stupid are such harmful words. Usually, it's people saying it about themselves, and they're not actually stupid people or lazy people. They're just in some sort of stuck place.
You know, I will go with that without reservation, except that I would lose one of my favorite songs called Lazy Afternoon. And I don't know that if you put something else in there that it would work.
Spin on the word lazy. I got no problem with that, but that's not
Okay. As long as I can keep that song, I'm good.
On a lazy river, I'm so down with that.
Okay.
All right. You know what? This talk could go on for hours, and I would be here for all of it, but we do need to move on. You teased us with book 4.
Ooh, yeah.
Anything else coming up? Are you doing any?
5. I mean, because I there's been this hiccup with editors or whatever. I usually write in February because it's like a hibernation-y kind of month. So I'll be doing the anger book in February.
Nice.
I think they'll probably both come out together, but TED Talk is happening in April. God, that's so overdue. How have I not done a TED Talk yet? Jesus, right? Marion.
Right?
I mean, all I do is talk and yell. They're going to have to can you curse in a TED Talk? I mean, how can I do that? I can't curse. Plus, are they going to coach me to reduce volume constantly? I mean, I got to be me. You know what I'm saying? So TED Talk happening. Right. I don't know what that.
Just curse and Klingon, and then then no one will know.
Okay, bad.
I know.
Bach Glikrog.
So yeah, those are the major things. Is the TED Talk and the next 2 books. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yay.
Where is the best place for people to follow you to get the updates and where they can find the TED Talk and where the book announcements are going to be?
drjjkelly.com has everything. The Insta, the YouTube, the books, the courses, everything. The Insta, man, has been so bumped up with free material. Everything about me is Dr. JJ Kelly something. So it's all my name. So much free stuff. You can learn so much just from my Instagram. It's not about who can afford to learn emotional intelligence. It's really important to me that isn't just for people with money.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's what therapy historically has been. I don't like that.
That's true. I was about to ask for your final words of wisdom, but I think you just dropped them. Anything else you want to share with the world?
Well, joy is the infinite fuel for creativity and everything else. Quality of life. Playfulness can lead to spontaneous thoughts that become a creative reality. Whatever your thing is, painting, writing, dancing, whatever your puzzles, I don't give a shit. Whatever blows your hair back.
Exactly. Take a page out of Leonardo da Vinci's book. He was curious his whole life, and look at all he created.
Yeah. And I think curiosity and playfulness just go together. Joy and creativity go together. These things create a happy soup, And then when you like yourself, because you're used to being disciplined enough to name your emotions and then manage them effectively, then you're whole. And the natural result of that is your heart overflows. And then generosity is a natural act. And that's why I say global healing is achieved by teaching people the skills to like themselves. I actually believe that. I don't think it's an overstatement, because happy people don't let people go hungry.
Right.
Don't let kids live on the street. You know, like they want to solve human suffering. It's the natural overflow of a full heart is kindness and generosity, giving to others. And I think that you can only really do that from a grounded place when you like yourself. There's a ton of giving and that kind of thing, but a lot of times that's performative too. The toxic positivity thing, that's real. And it's gross. It's as gross as like billionaires playing space guy. You know, like that's douchey. But so is toxic positivity. Performative generosity is gross too. Go for the real thing. And I believe that starts with liking yourself, and those are the skills that I teach. We don't have to agree on anything, just the skills can be applied to your life.
Yep.
Beautiful.
There you
That's
go.
beautiful. All right, we'd like to extend a huge thank you to Dr. JJ Kelly for joining us today. JJ, thank you so much.
Thank you too. This was a fun one. This could literally go 3 hours.
I know. Well, and my offer was, once you have release dates for the next 2 books, come back and sign up.
Yes, I'm in. I'm so in. Yes.
Perfect. All right, we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you by new media, by queer and misfit content creators. If you enjoy learning about new artists, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. Bum's Rush and Melody, dear.